Hello everybody, welcome to Puzzle Buster, Java Challenges Solved. Boy have I got a challenge for you. The name of today's challenge is anagram. The object of the challenge is given two strings of any length, compare both to see that they contain exactly the same letters. If you'd like to take a moment, pause the video and think through how you might solve something like this yourself. Otherwise, let's think through this together. Now, this is a very common programming puzzle. It's very classic, and there are many elegant solutions to it. The one that I've gone with today is fairly straightforward. We're going to write a method that returns a true or false Boolean value, and it's going to accept as parameters two strings. First, it's going to compare those two strings and their length to see that their length are equal, and if they're not, then it cannot be an anagram. If it passes that test, then it's going to take one of the strings and break it up into an array of all of the characters in that word, and systematically compare each one of those characters to the other word using the index of method of the string object. Now, the index of will return a -1 if it cannot find the character in the word, at which point will return a false because they cannot be anagrams. If it does find it, then we're going to use the substring method of the string object to splice away just that one character from the second word, and we're going to iterate through and do it again with the next character in the array. If we get to where the second word is completely empty, that means we've been able to find every letter from the first character array in the second word, and at which point we know that it's an anagram and we're going to return it true. So without further ado, let's jump into Eclipse and begin to write this. We're going to start with our class anagram, complete with our main method. And outside of the main method, we're going to go ahead and declare and define the isAnagram method, which will return a Boolean value and accept two strings. We'll call them word A and word B. Now, as we mentioned before, we're first going to check to see that their lengths are equal. And if they're not, we're going to return false. Now, if it passes that, then we're going to build a character array from all of the letters in one word. Then we're going to iterate through every character in that character array using a for loop. And check that character using the index of function of the string object to see if we can locate it in the second word. We'll define an integer called index and set it equal to the index of the character that we're searching for. At this point, if it cannot find that character in the second word, it's going to return a -1, so we'll check for that. And if it hasn't returned a -1, then we know that it's in there, at which point we're going to use the substring method to splice away just that one character. We'll do that by setting the word B equal to itself minus that character. And we're going to have to splice it away by using the substring starting with 0 and going to the index of whatever character that was, and then adding back to itself, that's concatenating it to itself, with the same index of +1. And that will successfully splice out that one letter. Now, if it does return -1, we're going to need to return a false. And if we've written this correctly, after iterating through, if we've been able to get to an empty string, then we know we have an anagram. We'll do that by using the isEmpty method of the string object. All right, so this looks like it might work. Let's come up with a couple of tests. So we'll print out to the screen true or false, and we'll pass through to the method a couple of dummy words. So this one should return true based on the fact that the two words do contain the same letters. Let's do one that has two words of different length. That should return false. Let's do another one that should return true. And we'll do one that has different characters. All right, that should be sufficient to see if our method is working correctly. Let's go ahead and test this and see what we get. All right, beautiful. So we've got our true, and false, just as we had anticipated. I would call this puzzle busted. So, a challenge for you. Write this in a different way. So why don't we write a different anagram solution, but in a completely different way, because as I mentioned before, there are actually many different ways to attack this. And so that's your personal challenge. Go ahead and take that on. And thank you very much for watching. I hope this was fun and educational. Look forward to seeing everyone back again in the next video. Have a beautiful night.